started. Does anyone want to get out?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this very emergency episode. And joining me is some very special people. First, we got Lawrence. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good. How you doing?
Also joining me is the master of burns himself, JJ.
What's up?
Oh, what is up? So, I guess you're gonna rip off the Band-Aid and Kavil is out.
Once again,
You didn't see that coming?
one
You didn't see that coming?
but every time I talk.
I'm sorry. I was trying to play that. Go ahead.
Once again, DC has got no balls.
No balls. None at all. None at all. Honestly, I'm wearing my Witcher pendant. You know, so I kind of like. I just feel bad for Kavil because, like, I was honestly convinced things were going forward because, like, why would they put all this effort into he's back? Why would he leave The Witcher if he didn't think he had a job lined up? You know, it's like, and by the way that, like, if you read Henry Cavill's statement, now I'm out. You know, it's like
Henry Cavill, The Rock, and Gal Gadot have the same work for the same talent agency, so they're probably undergoing negotiations right now. He won't get Superman, but he could easily be cast as someone else.
Or he'll just get some other big role in Warner Brothers. I think that's probably what's going to happen. Because if you Jared actually kind of pointed this out, James Gunn actually pretty much kind of inferred that, like, Ben Affleck is out as Batman as well. Now that one, it sucks. But Ben Affleck was kind of on the borderline anyway, so it's like, well, at least it wasn't a slap in the face like this one.
Lawrence, you have something to say, or you? Okay.
I don't know how I feel about this. Well, I really thought like there will be a Man of Steel 2 with Cavill. Now they jump, put everything in the trash can.
And Sage, being a DC fan for like the past 10 to 15 years has just been nonstop depressing. But yeah, I get what you're saying. It's like DC fans just cannot catch a break.
I don't blame them because, first of all, they brought this on them damn selves. It's just been one flop and executive screw up after another. You could argue the Snyder Cut was a win, but that's only because Warner Media wanted it off the block for HBO Max. So
actually, I'd argue AT&T was the one who really pushed for the Snyder Cut. Warner Brothers didn't want it at all.
Okay.
That's what I'd argue anyway, based off what was going on at the time. You may feel different.
But to make it a long story short, I can understand why they want to wipe the slate clean, but you already had such solid casting, with the exception of like two we're not going to talk about for obvious reasons. But this is a huge slap in the face, and they've just lost a huge ton of goodwill with this.
Yeah. I pretty much agree with you, man. Like, I'm willing to give it a chance. Like, I see how much of a clusterfuck all the DC stuff is, and honestly, the thought of just like, Thanos snapping everything and just starting fresh is a very attractive prospect. And as much as I hate to say it, it might be the best thing in the long run because, like, it's just such a convoluted mess. It's just like, as great as the casting is, everything is just, starting fresh with new actors, cheaper actors, mind you, might be for the best.
But this is really going to hurt Flash and Aquaman 2, and Flash is supposed to kick off this reboot. So I just feel like James Gunn kind of like jumped the gun with the announcement. They really could have dragged this out in speculation to the end of the year. But
yeah,
I agree.
I mean, look at Aquaman. Like, Aquaman's supposed to take place in the universe, but like, if you're going to reboot it, here's the other question: where does this leave Patterson Batman? Because you could build a universe, starting with him. Like you could build out your universe in the Matt Reeves one, and that wouldn't be the worst thing ever.
True, but it's not so much trying to get rid of Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck. It's just the Batman in its 3-hour theatrical cut was essentially to be self-contained, its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you try to cram that in a new universe with already established actors like Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa's Aquaman, you would end up being right back. Because general audience is key in the movie business. Now, comic book fans, we don't care. As long as we have good adaptation and good story, we don't care. But the general movie-going audience is going to be confused.
Yeah, and honestly, a clean break might be what we need. Because, like for example, let's say we have instead of getting someone who's like 30 or 40 as Superman, let's say get someone who's like 20, 24 showing up as like a let's say New 52, again, kind of quoting what Jared kind of said in the private chat, like a new 52 version of Superman, and having him show up and like have a new version of Wonder Woman. Here's the question for you guys: what young actor do you think can play Superman? I'd put a kind of cap at 25.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, the actor who played in the Arrowverse Superman and Lois, he's done a pretty good job. But if I'm not counting him, definitely mid to late 20s, about 26, 27 range. That would be a good statistic.
How old is Tyler Hoechlin? I'm kind of curious because he seems like he's in his like 30s or 40s.
I would say he's in his early 30s if I had to guess off the top of my head.
I'm looking it up right now. Let's see here. I mean, honestly, as far as the new Flash, I'd say Dylan O'Brien.
Dylan O'Brien, definitely. But would he be a better Wally West rather than a Barry Allen? Because let's be honest, outside of the Silver Age, Barry was pretty bland.
Oh, Jay Heat, you were actually pretty right on the money. I am the same age as Tyler Hoechlin. He's 35.
Oh, happy belated birthday.
Yeah, he was actually born September 11, 1987, and I was born today, so. What a birthday gift by DC, huh? Oh my god.
Man, I just can't believe how hard Taladia is going to take this. Taladia plays.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it is what it is. Like
Henry Cavill, you pulled your heart out. You were you made a good performance. You were just got dealt a bad hand.
Let's be honest here. It's not like, all right, we got a new comment here. Wonderful gift indeed. Yeah, pretty much. Let's be honest here. Henry's gonna land on his feet. He's a well-loved actor. He's talented. He's still in the prime of his acting career. He's gonna land on his feet. He may have kind of screwed himself over with like losing the Witcher gig, but let's be honest. He probably wanted to leave anyway. He probably wanted to leave that anyway.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, if he ends up working with Marvel and the MCU gets a Superman stand-in like Hyperion, remember, Warner Brothers, you brought this on yourselves.
I think if they're gonna put Henry in the MCU, it's probably gonna be Captain Britain.
Definitely.
Yeah, he's perfect for Cap. Like Sentry is a little bit too close to Superman. It's like his Sentry is literally a Superman clone, so that might be a little on the nose. Whereas Captain Britain, I think, would be like perfect. Also, hail John, how you doing? Thanks for joining us here. Yeah, I think Captain Britain for Henry would be really, really good. Since we're kind of doing the recasting thing, who's your pick for a new Wonder Woman? Because Gal Gadot, it's
the
kind of implied. Play who?
Remember Lady Sif in the earlier MCU movies?
Oh, Jamie Alexander.
Jamie Alexander.
Yeah, I could see that. For a second there, my mind kind of wandered to Florence Pugh, but
So that's a good choice. That's a good choice.
She's more of a. She would be more like the Cassie Wonder Girl kind of thing. Like if you cast her as like Cassie, like the Cassie version of Wonder Girl,
Yeah.
I could see that. But yeah, Jamie Alexander.
That's a
Yeah,
solid
for sure.
choice.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Lawrence?
I don't know. Like, I don't know who can top Gal Gadot. Pretty hard to top her.
Yeah, because like that's the thing that like I don't think it's not lost on anyone. This Trinity is they were generation defining. Like the fact that we're still talking about Christopher Reeve's Superman 40 years after his last movie. We're going to be doing the same with these actors. Like we're going to be talking like Henry Cavill will be compared to Superman literally 40 years from now. In literally in 2060. When they're rebooting Superman for like the whatever time, they're still going to compare him to Henry Cavill. Yeah, it's really kind of funny because like she kind of disappeared after the second Thor movie. Then she just randomly appeared in Loki. I don't think they ever really
retired. Then came back for a few side gigs, and then she couldn't do anything else with the MCU due to scheduling constraints. I heard rumors
and
that she had a kid, but I have no source to confirm that.
Yeah. What's weird is they never actually like killed off her character because like she wasn't in Thor Ragnarok. I think they said she was like off on a mission during the event, so like technically she's still out there somewhere.
She could come back.
Universe.
Yeah.
She could come back.
Yeah, I don't see what like if she was gonna show up, she should have showed up in Love and Thunder because like you'd think eventually she would have made her way to New Asgard.
Definitely. And you could have had a little tension between Sif and Jane. Nah, that would have been too on the nose, but it's Waititi, so I wouldn't put it.
Yeah, he would have messed it up somehow. Yeah.
Good thing we're not on Comix League right now. We wouldn't be able to get away with any of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So feel free to swear to your heart's content, boys. It's all good.
All right.
So, So how do you think they're going to go forward? Do you think they'll go with the Batman and build from there, or do you think leaving it all new Batman? Because like
new Batman.
No, they're going to keep Battingson because he's already established, and this was definitely a good opportunity for him to get a sequel. He's a younger actor. He's not as big because let's be honest, the Twilight movies aren't that good. I'll say it; they are not good.
I mean, to be fair, if you said that to Robert Pattinson, he would wholeheartedly agree with you. So
yeah,
definitely.
I mean, you got to remember, this is the same Robert Pattinson who was clowning on the movies. Him and Kristen Stewart were clowning on the movies during the press interviews. Like, no one hated Twilight more than Robert Pattinson.
I'm surprised he was even able to bounce back from that, but that's a separate conversation.
To be fair, he's like a really good actor. He's done a lot of like really good indie art house films to where people respect him at, you know.
Okay.
Yeah. It's I agree. Yeah.
It would depend on whether or not Ben Affleck and the higher executives can find an accord. But I wouldn't be surprised if Affleck just walked away. I would not be surprised.
I mean, to be fair, they're probably going to parlay this into getting projects funded and whatnot because, I mean, these are still bankable talents at the end of the day, you know. And like WB is not going to want a sour relationship with Henry Cavill, you know.
No.
So
they
it makes
did that
sense.
before. They did that before under Hamada and Sarnoff, and look where it got us.
Because remember, even with the Batgirl thing, they even said they were more than willing to plug the Batgirl into another project because they kind of did her dirty. So it's like, I mean, I do believe they have a vested interest in keeping these actors in the system.
If possible. Yeah, I can understand that from a business standpoint, but I've seen from multiple sources and early screenings that the Batgirl movie was just going to be god awful.
Thanks.
Some would argue it was going to be a Batman Beyond stand-in. I'm just like, no, please.
No.
Yeah.
Kill it with fire.
All the fire, you know. So
what are you
yeah,
gonna do with Jason Momoa?
Definitely it's gonna be Lobo. I would best case scenario he
Yeah.
gets double casted, but he's definitely gonna be one of these.
honestly, I would not be surprised in this new DC universe. Oh, hey Elon, good to hear you. We got Elon Musk in the chat. Oh, yeah. I'll get to that one in a moment. But like,
Yeah.
All right, what was I kind of talking about before the people kind of started commenting?
Lobo, Jason Momoa.
Jason Momoa.
Oh yeah, I can really see in this new universe where they cast him as Lobo and like they have a new Aquaman actor.
Easily.
I can just see them doing like a Deadpool-esque moment where like Lobo meets the new Aquaman. It's like, hey, you look familiar, you know, or something like that.
But who would make the new Aquaman? Who would?
Because it's going to be a really hard, tough act to follow because you know Jason Momoa really, he really defined that kind of
He
role.
redefined the character. It's definitely an improvement. You got to give him that. Because for the longest time, he's been stuck in that Super Friends mold where he was just the butt of the joke and comedic relief, and it's just the biggest interpretation of his character.
Yeah, I honestly don't know.
He's still digging out of that hole, but yeah, I can't really.
I think it's pretty safe to say it's probably going to be like some sort of like person of color for Aquaman because I feel like that role is kind of, you know what I'm saying? It's Jason Momoa kind of redefine that role in like a good way, so I wouldn't be surprised.
So more like a Namor situation, or
oh no! Let's not talk about that. You know, that's bad.
I think that was more of a business decision rather than just altering the character. So for diversity, but that was more.
Because I think that the rights are still with Paramount, and they didn't want to do Atlantis because Aquaman, because like he was already going to get compared no matter what. But like I think they kind of overshot their target a little bit with that one.
Definitely, I would have just bit the bullet and just did a collab with Paramount to secure a proper Namor adaptation.
Yeah, because I think technically the Hulk rights are still with Paramount. Like I heard they reverted to Marvel,
they were for a while, but as of She-Hulk, Marvel has fully consolidated the rights to Hulk.
Okay, so they could make a new Hulk if they wanted to, but like I think the reason why they went with She-Hulk was at the time the rights are still kind of in flux, but now they have. I think that's what the story is.
Pretty much, and they needed a backdoor pilot for Daredevil Born Again. So She-Hulk, at least on a corporate level, did what it was supposed to do. It's just that the story was crap.
Yeah, it was.
Lawrence, you have anything about She-Hulk before we completely bury it?
Oh no! I don't want to talk about that show.
Well, it's finally being canceled, so.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. Battery was running low on the headphones. I had to plug it in. But yeah, let's kind of touch on this for a moment. So apparently they were developing a Batman Beyond film at one point, which honestly, that was kind of like my dream project. You know, like imagine a Batman Beyond film starring Michael Keaton in the Burtonverse, where like Batman and Batman Returns are hard canon, where like those actually happen, and then like parts of Forever and parts of like Forever and Batman and Robin happened. You know,
to
like,
an extent.
so like soft canon is what I'm saying. Because the reason I go about that way, because if they my dream project would be a Batman Beyond with Alicia Silverstone coming back as Commissioner Barbara Pennyworth. Because remember, Batman and Robin, she was Alfred's cousin or niece.
Niece, I think it was niece.
Yeah.
I'll have to go through the movie again, but I will say this: there was going to be no cyberpunk aesthetic as of from what we saw before it got scrapped. It was going to be basically our present. It was going to be from 1989 compared to our present day. There was going to be no cyberpunk aesthetic whatsoever.
I mean, timeline wise, that could work. Like if you're actually just going by like, you know, the amount of years that has happened.
Oh yeah, definitely. Timeline wise, yeah. It's just you have Neo Gotham, the Batman of the future. I mean, come on. Without the cyberpunk aesthetic, is it really Batman Beyond?
No.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lawrence. Thank you.
But yeah, like imagine like the story possibilities. Like you could say he married Selena Kyle. You know, like you could say there's a huntress out there somewhere. Like you could even bring back, Chris O'Donnell as like the Nightwing. You know, because because Nightwing, because Dick Grayson does exist. You know.
Oh God. It's
Oh,
bad
huh.
enough. It's bad enough that version of Nightwing was portrayed in the Rick Grayson saga. Now I got to see it again in live action. Just the thought of it.
No.
I don't know. Chris O'Donnell is a pretty decent actor. I think he got a bit shortchanged in that one. Like, Batman and Robin was a really weird because like they put him in the Nightwing suit, like it's pretty much the Nightwing suit, but he was still Robin. It's really weird.
It was glorified product placement. Now Batman Forever wasn't as bad, but still.
Oh yeah, agreed. Release the Schumacher cut. Like the thing that I always say is go watch Lost Boys because that was directed by Schumacher. That is basically what a Batman movie would look like if Schumacher didn't have to please the studios. You got to be honest. That would actually be a pretty good Batman movie.
I agree. I've actually seen it. I've agreed.
Agree.
So, like, the thing that kind of pissed me off about, like, what way James Gunn said it is I feel like he was kind of using, like, some weasel words, a little bit like, oh, we're doing a younger version of Superman and Henry Cavill wouldn't fit that. It just, I gotta call bullshit on that because with the timeline of way the Man of Steel worked is, unless you're doing a Smallville movie, you're not.
That would not work.
Like if you put it as during the teenage years, and he's doing because he didn't even like do much of like
even a Legion of Superheroes movie where teenage Clark.
You could do a Legion of Superheroes. You could do Legion. You could do Legion for sure.
I can't even do like a 20-year-old Superman.
Well, I think in the beginning of Man of Steel, he was pretty much kind of in his 20s. Like at least that's the way I took it anyway.
Hold on, let me look it up. I'll have to go back and do the math because Man of Steel premiered in 2013, right? So that was about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, the point is, unless they're doing a Smallville or a Legion of Superheroes movie, there is no way.
He was 26 during Man of Steel. He was about 26 by the time that movie came out.
The actor?
Yes, Henry Cavill. He was 26 in 2013, or at least he would have turned 26 that year.
And if we're gonna take that as let's just say the character is of equivalent age, which that's not really exact science, but it's the best we got here. You could make the inferring that like during his let's say his training years, quote Batman. Oh, the Ta-Nehisi Coates one is still in production.
What? I thought they got buried.
That is fucking bullshit. That is fucking bullshit.
What happened?
The Ta-Nehisi Coates
with J.J. Abrams.
I thought you were done.
I thought that got buried too. I had multiple sources confirming that was scrap.
All right, I need to fill my obligation. Just make a fucking Icon movie. I need to fill my obligation. You know, I gotta mention Icon at least once per stream. So,
DC Warner Brothers doesn't directly have the rights to the Milestone characters due to the McDuffie estate.
I thought they bought them out. I thought they bought them all out 10 years ago.
They got in a legal beef a couple years back. I don't know if it was that specific case, but they did get into a recent legal beef, which is why you haven't seen Static Shock, Icon, Rocket in a lot of comics. They did reach a reconcile with the Milestone brand, but it's not directly with DC. So it's more so legal semantics than anything.
Yeah, because I thought DC was doing a whole Milestone initiative where they actually brought back the label.
They tried it, but then again, that leads to the conflict I'm referring to, and then they just stopped using it. Because when's the last time
they used a lot of the Milestone characters in Young Justice? Like Rocket was actually a big part of even I think the last few seasons.
Oh, animation is a completely separate negotiation. That's different.
Okay.
This was strictly comics and other media.
Because I know they like Static Shock got a big boost in New 52. I remember that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just weird.
Why do you think Connor Kent was shelved in the New 52?
Oh, here's another question. How is this going to affect Blue Beetle?
Blue Beetle, Blue Beetle is pretty salvageable because he's lesser tier. He's not as popular outside of main comics. So you could pretty much go ahead with Blue Beetle in the new universe and nothing would really change.
Sorry, go ahead.
The only downside is that I could easily try to turn Blue Beetle into DC Spider-Man. I could easily see them trying to do that.
Spider-Man, Iron Man kind of thing. See, in my opinion, it depends on how integrated with like the whatever verse the DC is. Like how to like if it's standalone, like if it just Amanda Waller shows up at the end, like how much of it exists and how much of it because like it could very well be that with Blue Beetle they just have to reshoot a few scenes like, oh, Amanda Waller shows up, well, she's not showing up anymore. You know, I want to say that's probably the case because like I don't know, I feel like anything that's like in tune with like the universe they could probably like retool without too much trouble, but without seeing the movie, I don't know.
Hold on, I'm reading a separate article on a separate tab. It seems Greg Capullo is moving over to Marvel.
They're gonna waste his talents.
Definitely. That poor business. I get DC doesn't promote their writers and adaptations, but that was a terrible career move.
I mean, actually, I'd argue DC promotes their artists and writers more than Marvel because, like,
definitely.
When was the last time you hear Marvel talk about their artists, unless it's like a big name? Whereas DC, they're really
they
big
don't have any
Marvel.
big names. They've been too busy chasing headlines and pumping out crap.
Meanwhile, DC is doing a collaboration with Mark Silvestri.
Okay, I'm just going to make a brief mention of the comics. DC had the higher executive, Jim Lee and the other executives had no other alternative for 5G after DiDio's firing. And let's be honest, their editorial is bloody incompetent. Let's just call it for what it is.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're just making the best out of it. They just feel like they're making the best out of a bad situation. They definitely need to get some solid talent again. I'm not saying like I'm not saying even Van Sciver. Though it would be, I wouldn't mind even Van Sciver in DC again.
I mean, honestly, I just want to see him do books. Like, I want to see, I want to see Jeff Johns and even Van Sciver team up on a Green Lantern book again. Like, I want to see that.
I mean, could you imagine when he went to Twitter and just trolls everybody?
So here's my thing about Jim Lee. I don't want to say too many bad words about him because I feel like he's ultimately a good guy. Like, I feel like he means well. He is legit one of the greatest comic book artists ever. Like, you can't take that away from him.
Hush.
But as far as his editorial skills, his editorial record, that leaves a lot to be desired. He is still, hands down, one of, if not the best comic book artist to ever exist. He's right up there with like Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, Tom McFarlane. He's literally, if you put him out Rushmore comic book artist, he's on it.
He's definitely up there. Definitely in the top 10. I'll give you that. Definitely in the top 10.
But as an editor, his thing is pretty spotty. I don't know.
I feel like it was just a series of bad business decisions. Like in the past 5 to 6 years, you could definitely see. I'm not going to really go into politics here. I try to avoid that personally.
Mm-hmm.
But you could definitely see this major shift in the past 5 to 6 years, and the deal was just all for riding the bandwagon. Hence why we got the 5G initiative in the first place. I feel like Jim Lee just made the best out of a bad situation. He's more of a creative than an executive.
I mean, you do have to give him some props for like how he like finagled Wildstorm. Like he was part of the Unit group. He did Wildstorm. Wildstorm actually had a pretty decent run, and then he's like sold it to DC. Like that does take some business sense. You got to give him some respect.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But I wouldn't mind a Jim Lee book, even if it's just him on the concept art. I wouldn't mind Jim Lee as an artist again. Just take a step back.
I mean, half the reason the art in DC Universal Online is so good is because Jim Lee actually did a lot of the concept art for that game.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we're kind of running out of steam here. So, like, any other topics you guys want to bring up?
No, I want to say one more thing before I go.
Okay.
Wait, I just hope the DCU will be great. Like telling Dude story and making Dude movie. Like, yeah, that is what I say. To be honest,
My hope is if they're going to start fresh, they're gonna do a Marvel Phase 1 thing where they do each individual hero that gets you to like them, and then do Justice League. Because you never know. They might even bring back Zack Snyder to do a new Justice League movie. It might not be part of his continuity, but they might bring him back, like...
Definitely.
I agree. There's still hope.
But I still feel
the Snyderverse is dead. Like, I think like that...
Let's call for what it is. Hello?
Yeah, call it. Yeah. We're giving you the floor.
Okay, I thought one of us was lagging, but I will say this: I just feel like they're gonna try to copy Marvel because they know what that in the MCU because they know that works with general audiences. I mean, they tried to ride the bandwagon before trying to rush BVS out, and I just feel like they're just gonna end up making the same mistakes.
I feel like this is kind of the one instance where I kind of do want them to copy the homework, like at least the Phase 1 blueprint. Like, I feel like if they can actually rein themselves in and just do individual movies and then build up to that thing, it might actually end up being amazing.
I agree. Like, the general audience is more important than the fan.
Like, imagine this. They do their movies, and then they have the HBO Max stuff for, like, the side stories, or it's kind of the smaller scale stuff, like let's say like the Penguin thing, stuff where it doesn't really impact the main story, but it's more story of a character. I think that is really good.
Agree.
So, final thoughts on this. My if I could sum up my feelings, and then I'm going to ask you guys this, is cautiously optimistic. Lawrence?
About the topic, like Henry Cavill, it's sad, but
Henry Cavill and like the future of DC on film. Like, what's your kind of sum up your feelings in as few words as possible?
All right. Well, my feeling, I'm sad about it, but I think the DCU will be great during the future.
Okay. Jay Heat, what do you got for us?
Okay, I definitely see from a commercial standpoint because basically they kind of need a clean slate. And the retooling campaign ultimately just didn't work out. So hopefully they can make something decent. They won't hit MCU numbers, but as long as it's a good story and it's not too divisive, I think we can come out on top in the long run.
Well, if nothing else, I think everyone's feelings can be summed up like this.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
Yeah, basically.
So, thank you guys for tuning in. It's kind of a little bit of a shorter stream. It's kind of a shorter topic. So this has been Jason from the Phoenix Press. And remember, I can only show you the door. You're the one that should walk through it.